All right. Welcome everyone to our second episode of the Homestead Hangout. Let us know in the comments who's here and where you're watching from. Today we have Matt on. Hi, Matt.
Hi guys.
We may have been having some technical issues. I'm not sure. So if you can't hear one or both of us or see one or both of us, let us know in the comments if one of us is messed up here. But it looks like everything is sorted on my end. I mean, I can see and hear you fine now. So, not me.
What?
Oh, now he's frozen.
Were you talking to me?
Yes. I was saying it looks like everything's sorted on my end. I can see and hear you fine now. And I said, "How about?"
Oh,
Okay.
that's
All right. Go ahead,
yeah.
Matt.
I
Tell
can't
us.
see you.
Okay. So Matt actually used to be a cop. He retired last year, right?
What? I retired in November. Yes.
Okay, so only a couple of months ago, and then he kind of spiraled into homesteading. Can you tell us what that's all about?
Well, the homesteading actually goes back a lot farther than that. I started in law enforcement back in 2009, and I was a corrections officer in Arizona for 2 years before that, and then I got on with the federal government from August of 2009, and I just retired in November of last year. I started in Arizona. Are you there?
Yeah, keep going. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So I started my career in Arizona, and then, make a long story short, the career brought me back to my hometown. And when my wife and I moved back at the time, we had horses, and then we got some chickens, and we did some meat chickens and stuff like that. And it was just kind of a little segue in, and then life took us in different directions. And we had to move out of that little farmstead, or little, I think it was 2 acres that we were renting at the time. And I didn't get back into a piece of property. This is my house, and I'm actually standing in the it's behind the house. I have 17 acres now. But Jacob and I, that Jacob is my 11-year-old son. We were out walking, and I took this picture. But so this house sits on 17 acres. And I bought it November of 2 years. This November will be 2 years ago. And just kind of got back into chickens to start with. Had my horses up here, and now I've got a whole slew of zoo animals.
So Graham from Judd's Quail, this is Cowgirls, Jesus, and Rodeo here. He probably wants to know if you are going to be getting into quail next.
If I'm going to get into what?
Yeah.
Quail? So I have had an interest, but it's not something that has been like a deep-seated interest of mine. We'll get into this. Jillian and I are friends. We go back a number of years, and you'll find out that we know each other a little bit longer than just being in the group together. But I started hatching out my own chicken eggs just a month ago or two. And so quail might be on the plan. I don't know.
So, okay, he said quail makes me happy. Quail make me happy. Yeah, I've got like 60 something. Yeah, that's Judd's Quail from last week. Yeah, I've got like 60 something quail in my incubator right now, and then I think like
you have how many?
65, I think. So I've got,
holy smokes,
I've got 2 incubators up. I've got a dozen chicken eggs, I think. Because somebody wanted chicken eggs. They wanted me to incubate chickens for them because they can't find any. And they wanted Easter eggers and olive eggers, and I've got those. I've got like 65 quail. I have, I think, like 10 turkey, and 2 peacock eggs that are in the incubator right now. So I have a whole poultry zoo going on my,
Yeah.
on my okay. So what was your main purpose of getting, like, what drew you to homesteading? Why did you start this?
Um, I would literally have to go back to when I was a little kid. I grew up in, for those of you listening are from the Onondaga County, Syracuse, New York area. Um, I was born and raised in, and always felt that I needed to be on a farm from a very young age. And I'm sure a lot of people on this page that turn to homesteading, whether you're in your 20s or 40s like me, almost 50, um, we have a pull to it. And I was thinking about this actually before we got on, of when my first, I guess, recollection of being on a farm was. And it was, I don't know, I must have been 5 or 6 years old, something like that. And I remember being at my mother's friend's house, and was just so enthralled by the chickens and the hens running around, and went and found the chicken coop the whole day. Um, and I think I carried a chicken back to my mom and a couple eggs, and I was like, hey, we're taking that. So it goes back. I'm 47 now, so we'll just say 40 years. Um, and then, through life, I was a Spanish teacher and a special ed teacher before I got into law enforcement. And then just, working for a government agency. And I loved my career. But the hustle and bustle and flying all over the country and flying all over the world and being detailed to different parts of the world and whatnot for my career. Um, I needed a slower pace, and I've always loved old historic homes. And the house that I live in now is the earliest, or I guess the youngest that the house could be is about 100 and actually about 200 years old, and then the oldest could be 224. And I'm still doing research on that. But I've always wanted an old home. I love history and some acreage, and I found both.
So something that we didn't talk about, but you told me to ask you about on this. You already know what I'm going here, but you said that your house is haunted, or the homestead is haunted. Tell us about that.
Right. So the business name, or the farm name, is Willow Creek Farms. Um, Willow Creek Farms is an offshoot of. I used to raise and breed and show straight Egyptian Arabians, and my business name for that was Willow Creek Arabians. So it's Willow Creek Farms now, and uh, the YouTube page is going to be called Willow Creek Farms and the Haunted Homestead. Uh, the property sits right smack dab, and well, actually, the boundary halfway through my property is the old East Cayuga Indian Reservation boundary line, and George Washington and New York State and the federal government back then had, that was the boundary line. And then, of course, uh, yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with that, but anyway, so it's all yeah, we're gonna have to edit that part out. But anyways, the house is haunted, is what I'm
Okay.
trying to say. It's got some of the what we think are some of the early, or like the builders of the property, the bakers, and we got some little bit of poltergeist activity, funny poltergeist activity, not nasty or anything. But all of my kids have heard people talking. I've heard people talking in here. We've seen people. Both inside and outside on the property. A couple weeks ago, I think I was telling you about this, Joe. A couple weeks ago, I was out back drinking my coffee, and um, I swear on, with my right hand up, that I heard a Native American chanting. And of course, when you hear something like that, even though you experience that on a daily basis out here, um, when I heard that, I had to kind of step back and really listened to see if, am I just making this up, or is it? No, it in fact was a Native American man chanting, which this is kind of cool because half of the property sat on the old East Cayuga Indian Reservation.
Okay. That's really interesting. I'm not sure how much I believe in like that kind of stuff, but to have have
Sure.
something like that would be
Yep.
crazy. That'd be crazy. Also a little scary too, because I would imagine that Native Americans from back then, and people that look like you and I probably may not have been on the best of terms there.
I guess that's where I was starting to go through
Yeah.
and stumbled over the
Like
the
don't know.
quasi history lesson that I was trying to give that didn't work out.
Yeah, like that might be a little scary. That might be a little scary. Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved into this house. Did it already have infrastructure up for bringing animals in? Like, did it have a barn or
No.
fencing or anything like that? Oh, okay.
Not at all. When I bought the place, the very first well, I should probably go back about a year or two ish before I bought the place. I sit right on 5 and 20 in the town of Aurelius, right outside of Auburn, New York, and so it's a
Oh my God,
pretty heavily traveled.
Hold on a second. I literally just drove up to Auburn the other day to get my piglets. I was just in Auburn the other
And you
day.
didn't call and say, "Hey, by the way, I'm 2 doors down."
I didn't
You
realize
probably passed. You probably passed the house.
Oh my God. After this, I'm gonna shoot you the message. I'm gonna shoot you the address of where I went and you can figure it out if we passed it or not. That is funny. Okay. Anyways.
Did you come all the way into the city of Auburn?
I went to a farm. I don't know. Let me see here. Do you know people out there?
You're breaking up.
Do you
Do
know
I
people
know
out
who?
there? Do you know people?
I guess I'm not supposed to hear that question because I can't hear
people?
it. I try to not know
Okay.
people.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I know a few people out
Do you know
here.
the Tid farm?
Farmers. I know a few farmers. I yes, it is
Melrose.
exactly, or
I
where it is
I
in
went to
relation to where my farm
Melrose.
is.
Anyways.
So a couple years ago, or for a couple years anyways, I would always pass this house when I go to the casino out at Del Lago in Waterloo, and always made a comment like, "Man, that's a really cool old house," and then realized that nobody lived here. Never really. I wasn't at a point in my where I was either ready or willing or able, I guess, to purchase, an older home and whatnot. But anyways, it came on the market. It was actually under contract on another piece of property. The deal fell through, and this place, it literally had just come back on the market. And I drove by to see where it was because I wasn't exactly sure where it was. And there was a gentleman mowing the yard. So I pulled in, talked to the guy, ended up being the seller. And the story is that about, well, I guess it would be almost 20 years ago at this point, 19 years ago at this point, he had purchased the property with his brother-in-law, and they were going to make it into an organic vegetable farm. Tomatoes, he specifically talked about tomatoes, and onions. And then that business deal kind of fell through, or one part of the party went the other way. He still wanted to do the business. And he got a hold of the county or the state and said, "Hey, I want to be an organic tomato farm." And the state and the county had said, "Well, let the property grow up and grow down and grow up and grow down for a few years so that there's no pesticides, chemicals, anything like that on the property. And then raise it, plant your crops, and you can be certified as an organic farm." I don't know if I'm just giving you the story I was told. I don't know if that's exactly how that all works. But when his I guess over the course of those 2 years, he lost interest, didn't want to do it anymore. Then he wanted to, his children were very young, so he was like, "Oh, I'll just keep the property, I'll pay it off, and then my kids can have it when, they're in their 20s or whatever. Well, that time came around, and both the kids were like, I don't want anything to do with that place, Dad. It's old, it's run down, it's wicked overgrown. So I bought the place when it had been growing up and down for 17 years. So literally, I was starting from scratch while I was working a full-time law enforcement career.
That's where goats come in.
Yeah. You say goats? Yeah. Well, brush hogs do that too.
Okay. So,
but no, it.
So what animals or homesteading things have you added to your farm? Like, what do you have right now?
So the first animals on the property were the horses that I have, my brood mare and my stallion. It was the very first thing that I cleared out, and then made was a pasture for them, and got them on. Then we added some goats, or I added some goats, alpines for dairy. I got a stud, and was gonna get I was gonna get some does, and then ended up falling into a deal with some Nubians, I think they are, some Nubian goats. One was a wether and one was a doe, and then bred the doe to my alpine buck, and that's the little baby that I have that survived out of the kidding this year, the freshening this year. She had twins, and one was stillborn, but Vinny the mob boss survived.
Are you milking her?
And oh yeah, every day. But literally, she gives just enough milk to feed him twice a day.
How old is he?
Because so I guess I have to back up in that. So Vinny was born on I have to look at a calendar, but I think it was February 15th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's February 15th of this year. So he's what, two and a half, two whatever months old. I'd gone out to feed, had noticed that that she was in active labor, that she had passed her mucus plug, and spent the next few hours waiting for her to actively start pushing. She started pushing, and ended up delivering the first one, which was a little doeling that was stillborn. And then Vinny was right behind and ended up grabbing a hold of him and pulling him out. He rejected him, didn't want anything to do with him. So he became inside the house bottle baby. And milking her twice a day to get milk for him to eat. And so, yeah, she still is being milked. So not producing enough milk for, for us to use in any kind of, ice cream or cheese or anything like that. But I'm going to add a couple more alpine does this summer, get them bred, and have some milk.
She should be
Extensive milk production.
She should be making enough. Is this her first kidding? Okay.
Yes.
One of the things that you can do, you might like this actually. One of the things that you can do to increase her milk production is dark beer. For her, not
is what?
You. Dark beer. Like, give her a Guinness.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I would do like a half a Guinness in the morning, half a Guinness at night. Because I had one that after she kidded, she had twins, and she was in the itty bitty teat committee. And
right.
There was nothing there. It took her a little bit. Started giving her some Guinness, and poop, she just popped right up. So that's one of the things that you can do.
She was drunk and happy. No, that's cool. I like to learn all those, tricks of the trades, and what are the old wives' tale.
But especially,
and then I'm sure
she should be making more than enough milk for just.
She's not an alpine.
Oh, what is she? Nubian. Oh, especially with a Nubian. Yes. Yeah. Nubians are really good dairy goats too. Actually, I would like to get some more Nubians. Nubians are.
No. Nope. I take that. It doesn't matter what she is, but she is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. She literally produces
Yeah.
twice
Yeah.
a day,
Okay. Um,
and has since day one. She just did. I mean, she's obviously she does not have enough milk to
you're
produce.
getting you're getting into boars too, right?
That is something that over the course of 2 years now, or a year and a half, that I've really kind of figured or tried to come up with a game plan on how am I going to make money, or how am I going to start having the farm get back financially. Um, and as much as I love horses and everything, they're expensive. They're expensive to get into foal. They're expensive, and then it takes so long to get them, and then that the return on profit is not very quick. So I don't know, 20 hens on the. They give us eggs enough for us to eat, and then we a lot of eggs away and stuff like that. Um, but yes, I'd like to get into boar goats, and I'm actively looking to start building a boar herd. So if you're listening and you have boar goats, reach out, hold of me, and let me know what you have, and we'll on to the farm.
Um, Misty is asking if you're familiar with the Madigan squeeze. I don't know what that is. Should I be scared? What's the Madigan on? It's a technique used on foals experiencing neonatal maladjustment syndrome, also known as dummy foal syndrome or weak calf syndrome, to help them transition into normal consciousness and behavior. It applies or involves applying gentle pressure to the foal's chest using ropes to simulate the birth canal pressures, which are believed to trigger the transition from in utero to post birth brain function. Okay, so it's something that has to do with horse births. You ever do that? You
With
ever have to do
horses?
that? Yeah, you ever have to put a rope around the foal's chest? Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. So right now your goal is primarily retirement and then making fun money on the side, or do you want to like do a full grown business out of like full blown business out of this?
To do a full blown business. Yes, I get a retirement. Yes, I get an annuity, but um, it's not enough to. I mean, it is enough to survive and pay the
Oh, who
pay the
wants to
house,
be
pay
on a
the
fixed
car,
income?
pay
Who wants to be on
electricity,
a
stuff
fixed
like
income?
that.
I get that. I get that. I said
What?
who wants to be on a fixed income? Because that's basically what it is, right?
Right. That's exactly what it is. People, when I've told people that I retired or that I was getting ready to retire, they were like, why are you retired? You're too young." I retired. It was a long career. It was a fun career, but it was long. Um, and I wanted to. It was just time. It was time to move on to another chapter of my life. But yes, the goal is for the farm to uh, and to be an income or a business. And I've made this family is that if there's an animal that's on the property that's not um, making money for the farm or providing for the farm in some way, milk, eggs,
Besides
or meat.
besides horses, right?
What's I was getting there. That they are not going to be here. Can't feed something that is back, except for the horses. I'm not going to eat those. They and they will live the rest of their lives out here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I had horses before. Well, I call it my wish horse. A local rescue reached out to me and asked me if I would take in a Shetland pony. Well, I'm sorry. They asked me if I would take in donkeys. And then they were like, "Will you take the mare too?" And it was a Shetland pony. So it shows up like, this itty bitty thing. And I told everybody that I went on Wish and I ordered a quarter horse and they sent me a quarter of a horse instead. It was my quarter horse. It was my Wish quarter horse. Um, and then eventually I think I basically fostered them for maybe 2 years. And then I reached out to the rescue and I said, "You want to take them back? They're expensive." Like they're
Yeah,
really,
they are.
we
They're
broke
expensive.
them.
Expensive to
Yeah,
eat.
we broke. Well, they were saved. Well, the one donkey was saved from a slaughterhouse, and then the other two they were with a disabled Marine vet whose husband bought this property with her and like just started loading it up with animals and then got arrested and left her with the whole responsibility. And so she had like goats and pigs and like the donkey and the horse, like her equine and everything, but like she's disabled. She can't go in there and fix fences. She can't go in there and fix the pole barn that was falling down. We were about to have that December storm that we got up here. It was really bad. We had a really bad storm on Christmas a couple of years ago, and so they were just like frantically looking for someone that could take them out. And then the other donkey came from a meat market, a rescue. So yeah, so they were fun. The kids miss them because I'd let them ride them. I didn't put any gear on them. They just I taught them how to ride them bareback because I didn't want the added weight of the gear because they were not, well, the one donkey they didn't ride because he was only 2 or he wasn't 2 yet. But yeah. But they're expensive. They're ridiculously
They,
expensive.
listen, they're not cheap to purchase or to either. They're sometimes to get into full or to keep in full. Um, uh, I mean, at the end of the day, and you know this as well as I do, or anybody watching this, that a homestead or is actively trying to kind of and kind of go down that road, is it's not cheap. Feed's not cheap. Infrastructure's not cheap. Um, it's a financial responsibility, but it's also a rewarding
It's
experience as
crazy
well.
how like 200 years ago a horse was a necessity for a farm, but now they've been replaced and you don't really need them anymore. Like
You know,
200 years you have
I yeah, I right. I just read a quote the other day. This is not lost on me or anybody that's had horses in the past or currently, is that horses on a farm are luxury items, right? Unless or using them to build, or you're riding them every day and using them to herd your herd, or herd your flock of sheep, or actively using them to work the farm. They're not. They're lawn ornaments. Long enough that I can say that, and I think somebody isn't honest with themselves when it comes to horses, 'cause they're so expensive to feed and to maintain. They're a luxury item, and really at the end of the day, and I'm going to go back and say it again, is that and I'm just starting, claiming that I'm making,
but you know what horses cost.
six figures a year, figures a year. Yeah.
So that's fine.
What?
I was saying you're just starting out, but you know what horses cost.
Right. Just find something that you enjoy, and to income generating play. I didn't grow up, or even in the past year, ever think that, I would want to start a goat herd for milk or for meat or anything, and it's just something that, you know, happened over the past year, and I really enjoy it. And there's money to be made. Am I going to? Probably not. Am I going to be a millionaire? But it's fun, and I'm doing it. Why not?
Well, that's like, I mean, you already know this, and I amazingly enough, I don't talk about it on my YouTube channel. So most of the people coming on here probably have no idea, but I started a business called, well, Only Goats Farm is the name of my LLC. But the part of the business that I'm known for locally is called Western New York Party Goats. And I will take my goats to birthday parties, and people pay me to bring my goats to birthday parties. Sometimes you got to be creative. That was not in the cards. And then I saw a window of opportunity to get into something like that. And you just kind of like got to take a look around and be like, okay, what do I have here that has potential? And sometimes, I mean, you might have a flower garden. You might have a wildflower garden that you could mow down, or you could harvest the seeds and start selling the seeds, because it's a wildflower that people would like to buy the seeds from. You might have things on your garden that you like, flowers that you could do cuttings for, repot, replant, put in containers at your roadside, divide them every couple of years. You might have equipment that you could rent out. Like maybe you have a tiller and there's not a lot, you see a need that people need tillers, and there's only one place you could rent them from in your town, and they only have, one tiller for rent, and it's spring season. You might start renting out your equipment. Maybe you have a tiller. People rent out their chicken pluckers. They rent out, different things like that. You might have a skill. Like my friend is going to start something where she's remodeling her kitchen, and she's making sure that she has the ability to turn it into an area where she can bring people in and sell paid lessons, teaching people how to can things, how to do home preservation. So it's like everybody has something different that they can do. You just gotta, and you actually have come across a couple of different things just by going to the auction, right? Some different opportunities. Tell us about the cow
Yeah.
thing that you noticed.
So I don't know. It was a middle of last month, early last month. Get chickens at Country Max, and make a long story short, a couple people on the line, local farmers out here, and one of them was like, "Oh, you should come down to the auction with us tomorrow." And I'm like, "What auction? What are you talking about?" So, anyways, we went down. It was a auction, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you can make money. You buy a sick calf and you bring it back to health, and then you can sell them and or flip it. I mean, people flip cars, people flip houses. Why not livestock?" And the not expectation, but with the knowledge or the understanding to spend 100, 200, 300 animal, and it's going to die the next day, or and I'm not saying that that's how much for. I mean, we both have for 40, 50, $70.
Not recently.
And
People are selling
but
whole. People are
no,
selling.
not in your
People are
neck of the
selling
woods.
Holstein bull calves, day old bottle baby Holstein bull calves for $800.
Well, where are they? Because I can bring them some.
I don't know who's buying them. I don't know who's buying them, but my boyfriend wants a calf. So if you see a cheap calf, grab it and I'll go pick it up from you, because I don't know. I'd like.
I've got that Jersey bull.
I don't know if we want a
Jersey bull calf.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We could do a Jersey. I would like to eventually get into Dexter's, but I mean, that might be a bad idea. I know nothing about them. I grew up on a dairy farm, but it was Holsteins. Um, but Dexters are supposed to be dual purpose. They're littler, so they don't give you a lot of meat, but their bulls are supposedly nice. No idea how true it is, but yeah.
Yeah. So, they can be good or they can be bad. You can get healthy animals or you can get sick animals. Obviously, you're going to pay a lot more for healthy animals. And then there's obviously, day old or a couple day old calves, you know, a couple year old heifers and bulls. But so that was there's the cow auction, and there's a goat, sheep, lamb, etc., chickens, whatever. Took my son out of school for the day and interested in seeing it, and so we brought him down and ended up coming home with or black doll lamb. I'm sorry, and we have no idea. We're just going to go with the fact that she's a month ish old, and trying to think what else. We came home with another rooster. My son wanted it, was cheap, and that rooster didn't survive.
Yeah. You never know what you're getting. Just be careful. Be careful. Make sure you quarantine your animals before
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. Is that anything that you get, and Jill just mentioned it, is actually any new animal. It doesn't matter whether it comes off from a reputable breeder or not. Usually animals, because what one farm may have that they're immune to, or your animals may not be, and your farm may not be. It's really a protection against the countless thousands of livestock that we have on the farm. When I say we, I mean as a homestead, and the protection of the animals that you're bringing onto the farm as well, because they may not be used to or have been exposed to whatever you're carrying around on your farm. It's money, so much money and time and investment, and to searching the people that I've been speaking with about, acquiring some foundation does and a buck for the boar goat herd or the meat goat herd. You're not talking about a cheap or an inexpensive investment. You're talking thousands of dollars.
Especially for quality stock too. Yeah.
Right.
What?
Yeah. And but if anybody has a couple thousand or dollars that they don't, throw it my way.
And by his way, he meant my way.
I'll cut you a check.
Okay, so getting into this, what are some of the hard lessons that you've learned? Because I know we've all had them.
Probably, and I'll go back to something I said earlier, is try not to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things and make them all work for you. Doing that you like doing, and focus your time, energy, and money into that to build that part up. Or I'll be honest, even though I've got a Jersey bull calf sitting in the barn, I have no desire to be a cattle farmer. Don't want, and if there's cattle farmers out or that's listening, don't take offense to what I'm about to say, but you're not recouping your money as fast as if you did goats or chickens or whatever. A lot more, right? $5,000-$6,000 if you bring them to the possibly. I mean, I've seen them go for that much. But you're talking a year and a half, 2 years down the road, where with goats, your turnaround on that with the meat market is a lot
like
a lot
7
faster. So find something that you want to do.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and then the other things that you're interested in, do a hobby. Like I never thought I'd ever be incubating my own chickens or eggs, and I'm doing that because chicks are so damn expensive now, you know. And I'll wait the 21, 22 days, whatever, 23 days to hatch out a
Oh
clutch of
my God,
eggs.
yes. So I have
Um,
two peacock eggs in the incubator now.
oh yeah.
If those hatch, I went to the auction to see what their prices were on peacocks, just to see what auction prices were. I know that they're more expensive outside of the auction, but just to see, right? Pea hens were going for $350. Peacocks were going for like $200. These are auction eggs these are eggs that I picked up from the auction. I'm incubating them, and I would like to flip them because I don't. This is how I'm flipping them, by taking good eggs, incubating them, and then selling the stock. You get the eggs for cheap at the auction, throw them in the incubator, boom, I got a $300 bird, boom, back to the auction. But
Yeah.
I don't know how well that's
Yeah.
going to work because now my boyfriend thinks that we need peacocks. So I don't know. He's like,
Oh, there you go.
we'll put them right out by the front of the road. Everybody will stop at your road stand. I'm like, they already stop. I can't keep it stocked. But yeah, because
How
it's
many
only going
people
to
do we have?
two
Go
people
ahead.
that are live right now. Yeah,
Okay.
because it's really going to be beneficial to build infrastructure to house two peacocks by the side of the road to get people at my roadside stand and buy a couple of pumpkins or eggs. Like, okay.
Right.
But if it makes him happy, I guess it's an investment, right? Um,
Right.
and I mean, he'd be putting up the fence anyways, right? I don't know. So have you like dug down into like what your plans are? Are you still in like the playing around phase? Like, you want to get into boar goats and you got to buy quality stock for that. Have you been able to figure out like what you're going to do with your property, where things are going to go, where your business is going to go? Or are you kind of just like in the poking around part of it still?
I did the poking around enough to know that that the meat I want to and beyond, but it took me a year, almost 2 years of living out, clearing the property out, brush hogging the property, and I'm not done by any. So it was so overgrown. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to start to clear the property, but I got the horse pasture. I'm putting in another horse pasture now. I've got another 2 areas enclosed. So it's taken me a couple years to kind of figure out where I want everything. So lane phase now. It's just a matter of putting structure up before they come up on the property. And go.
I will say I always have people asking me about where to get meat goats from. Um, you're only like 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from me. I guess maybe at
Yep.
that point in time, I will start telling people to get their meat goats from you. Because I'm not raising them. I can, I think everybody has that one animal they could never eat. Goats are that for me. Of course, I've got sheep too, and sheep are pretty much just like goats with different tails. But um oh, well, I had this one lamb that I try not to buy a lot of animals from the auction, but I saw this lamb. He went for really cheap because his legs weren't working right. He was knuckling all four legs when he walked, so he couldn't walk straight. He was born that way. So I got him for like $40. He's a little Dorset ram. So got him a bottle as soon as I could, because I don't know how long he was at the auction for without eating. So I hope got him a bottle, made an appointment with the vet, took him into the vet. She gave him some what she, I forgot what she did. I can't think now. But then, you know, she checked him out. She did something with him. Oh, she gave him some antibiotics and some other stuff. I got a video on here. You can watch it where I said it right after it happened. So I remember better. And a couple of days later, he started having that death neck, you know, where they, you know, they're going. So
Yeah.
I called the vet and I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, but he's eating fine. Everything's fine. His tongue's warm. Like, put your finger in his mouth. He's warm. He's not cold. He's not biting down. Like, you know how when you've got an animal that's sick, their mouth gets tight because their muscles, you know.
Yeah.
But he was, you know, he was doing good aside from the fact that he had the death neck or low sugar neck, sometimes is what it's from. So she had me come in, bring him in. As soon as I bring him in, just like a kid, totally fine, nothing's wrong. Like, you know, he was in the house and the kids are like, Mom, I think the lamb's gonna go, something's wrong with it, you know. And I'm like, oh no, get on the phone with the vet. She's like, you can bring him over, I'm just making dinner. And I'm like, okay. So I bring him over and he's like, ah. I'm like, okay. Gave him CDT antitoxin. He was fine after that.
So he just needed a shot
No,
of
not even
CDT.
CDT yet. He hasn't had CDT
Okay.
yet. She said wait on that. Yeah, she said wait on that a little bit because but so I'll give him the CDT when I do everybody else here in like another week or
Right.
so. But the CDT antitoxin, which is, it works very, very quickly, but it's not CDT. It's not a replacement for CDT. Then I took some popsicle sticks, snapped them so they weren't too long, put them down, straighten out those knuckles, kept it wrapped and bandaged, and he's, you know, he looked like he was walking around on stilts for a week, but now he's running around and he's perfectly fine. And this is another pet that my boyfriend has. He's really excited to have a Dorset lamb that's going to have those big horns.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he might be naturally pulled because nothing's coming through yet, but I'm not going to tell him that. Yeah. Whoops.
You know, it's. I'm just going to piggyback off of something that you said, just said, and that I think you started to talk about earlier when you were asking me about infrastructure. Hold on a second, Brutus, playing this game. Go down the hall. My bull mastiff every 5 minutes. Uh, as far as like infrastructure, shelters, and fencing and stuff like that, nobody really and buy a product or the latest and greatest. Go out and get pallets. Build yourself a barn out of pallets. You know, I'm just starting my YouTube page. Posted a video and you know, but I'll be showing projects and whatnot, and how my son and I built a chicken coop early last summer, and first looking thing. Ended up moving the chickens to a different area on the property, sir. All right, hold that thought.
While he's doing that with his dog, I will let you guys know. I'm going to second this whole pallet thing. For goats escape everything. My goats have never escaped the pallet fencing before. But they've escaped almost everything else. And for pigs, same thing with pigs. I think that fencing for pigs is harder than fencing for goats. They say if it can hold water, it can hold a goat. But if it can hold a goat, it doesn't mean it can hold a pig. And the pallet fencing that I have for my pigs is the only fencing I will use for pigs now. Because I don't do hot wire. We have it. I just haven't hooked it up. So, but yeah, pallet fencing for my pigs is the best. They don't break it down. They don't, I mean, this is going on the 3rd year that we've used it. If you go back and there's a video, I've got a video on here about ideas for cheaper upcycled things instead of spending money on it. And pallets is one of them.
Upcycled and
Yes.
recycled.
Yes. Kitty litter boxes for nesting boxes, or not the litter boxes, but like if you buy the pails, and you don't even have to go out and buy the pails. Like You can get them off of Facebook Marketplace or just ask in your community group. Does anybody want to save some kitty little litter pails for me? Bam. Mike screwed them into the side of the wall in the chicken coop, and that's where they lay their eggs now, you know. Those big 55-gallon drums, that's my pig waterer. I got a video on here for that too. What else have I done?
Keep my my feed in too. 5-gallon drums with the metal tops, and it's got the thing you because anybody that farm, rats and mice come with that, and it's gotta save your.
Oh, a pellet hay feeder. We have a pellet hay feeder too. What else do we have?
Yeah, so that's what I was starting for. Brutus, that he wanted to go out with the other dogs, is build stuff that you can build. No, you just as much money in some pallets and built a couple shelters or a lean-to for your goats or for your pigs in your case, as compared to, like, you don't need to spend $30,000-$40,000 on a stall barn, unless you really want to do that and you have and whatnot. I'm not to that point, and I don't really want to be spending at the house. And so Jacob and I built that chicken coop a couple years ago, or last year. I wouldn't ask you to build. I wouldn't have you ask me to build your house. Don't ask me to build your house, but it's good enough to house chickens and goats.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really cool. I'm trying to think. Well, I've seen like, oh, there was this one that Mike sent me from like TikTok or something. You know those old spools, those giant spools?
Oh, the playhouse
schools. The spools, like the
spools. Yeah. Yep.
So I saw something where they cut out the middle of the spool to make it like the inside, like the protective house area. They put a door on it, and then they wrap the whole thing. The chicken wire fits perfectly. Just wrap the whole thing with chicken wire. Boom, brooder.
Yeah.
So now they can raise their chicks in it. I was like, that's kind of really cool, because you could just put the heat plate if you get like one of those like hatching or what ones are the ones that have the small heat plates? Not the ones from Tractor Supply, but like those smaller heat plates that are only like this big. I won't do heat lamps anymore, but you could get one of those, stick them in the middle. Now they got a nice little warm place to go into. And doesn't take long to make. I told him, like, that'd be really cool, because you could just like stack them. Like you could have a whole bunch of spools just stacked, like in the corner of the garage or something. And anytime you want to add a new brooder, boop, boop, boop. The only problem is that it would be harder to get them out of the circle thing, but
yeah, I mean, there are tons you can find them in.
We lost him. Oh no, we lost him. So he was having some internet problems before we got in. Oh, I think he just came back here. Okay. You're back.
Yes. Did you hear any of that?
Saying that there's a ton of things that you can do, and you don't have to go out and buy everything new and everything. Facebook Marketplace is another one too, by the way. Go on there and find something cheap. We got a tractor. We just got an old TO20 Ferguson tractor, like 1950 tractor.
I don't want to be throwing your business out there, but you know me. The horse trailer you got.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, I managed to get, it was from a cop too, by the way. But I managed, like, I bought it from a cop, but I managed to score a horse trailer for $800 off a marketplace. That's in perfect condition. Well, it needs an axle, but that's not a big fix. That's, $100 fix for a new part, and like 0 minutes of my time. I have a boyfriend, so 0 minutes of my time. But $800. And after I got it, I looked on Facebook Marketplace because more things were showing up, and one showed up for $1,000 that, like, I wouldn't even use it for a chicken coop. It was completely, did you see that one? It was all rusted out. It was, maybe you sent it to me. Yeah.
I probably did because I was joking about it. And listen, all buster, and I'm just gonna do, and I'm not gonna. But the deal that you got, and you sent me the picture, the horse trailer. I wish I could fall into a deal like that. But I find much worse conditioned trying to buy. They want 3 times, 4 times as much for a rotted out floor or rotted out, on the trailer.
And if you can get,
I especially like the
this,
ones.
if you have livestock, and I've done it for a couple of years without having a horse or without having a trailer of any source, like just having like the flat trailer. But if you have livestock, you really should have a livestock trailer, even a small one, because if you have to move, okay, or that's not even okay, I guess if you have like goats and stuff, you probably don't need to so much because the vet will come out to you, or you could throw them in your car or whatever. But like for me, I've been raising pigs. I raise pigs for meat. The meat is also being sold. Like I raise pigs for other people. So that means the pigs have to go to the butcher. That means that I have to hire somebody that does have a livestock trailer and pay them $100 to $200 to come out and drive to the butcher. We don't have a local butcher here. The butcher is an hour away. 40 minutes to an hour away. So it's not a cheap thing. So over time, if I do pigs once a year, that's it just saves a ton of money. It adds up over time. So yeah.
Or you can throw them in the back of your car.
Yeah. Or I could, yeah. Or that's something else where if I wanted to make money, I could, like, if I wanted to, I could use that. That's a tool that I have where I could use that and start offering it as a service. I have a livestock trailer. I will, work to take things to the butcher. If you have a livestock trailer, by the way, here's a tip for you. If you have a livestock trailer and you want to do butcher runs, tell the butcher and give them your name, because there are going to be times, and I know it because I've been that person. There are going to be times when you call the butcher, people will call the butcher and say, my person just canceled on me. My trailer just broke. I can't get to it for whatever reason. The person, whatever happens, something happened and they don't have a person that can haul their animals anymore, because a lot of people don't have their own livestock trailers. If you have a livestock trailer, you can give your name and number to the butcher, especially the one that you use, because you already have a relationship with them, and tell them, hey, if anybody needs an emergency trail service, have them send me a text message or call me. Boom. They probably, my butcher didn't know anybody that would do it. Like, so that's another thing you could do too. You're like, I need a livestock trailer.
Lots of great ideas and ways, repurpose
Yeah,
things.
it's not like working a 9 to 5. You have to get creative. It's not like working a 9 to 5, and it's not like farming was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, nobody would have paid $150 to have goats show up to a birthday party. 100 years ago, it didn't cost $100 for a piglet. 100 years ago, you could get a bull calf for free, because it costs more to ship them to the auction than it did that they'd get out of it. So you could get a bull calf and raise it, on your farm for free to butcher it. I told my dad what people pay for. I told my dad the other day, because he asked me what I make per pig, and I told him I charge $4 a pound hang weight, and he called me a crook, and I'm like,
Who's that? Your dad?
Yeah.
I guess you're not getting any of my products.
I still will. But I was like, Okay. So I was like,
Yeah,
let me
it's a
look and
pound.
see, because he hasn't been in farming in a while, right? It's like, let me look and see what the prices were for farm fresh pork back in the 90s. It was 90 cents a pound hang weight. Okay, I see why he's saying that. But I'm like, Dad, you haven't been in the grocery store lately, have you? Like,
Right.
eggs were just $10 a dozen. Eggs were just $10 a
Yeah.
dozen. $4 a pound for pork is not bad. Yeah.
And listen, we sell product wise animals, byproducts of animals, it's whatever. At the end of the day, you could sell them for because what's your price? What I'm trying to people, if it holds enough value for whatever reason, they're paying what you're asking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's true.
so 90 cents a pound back, years ago, or 30 plus years ago, was what people were willing to pay. Back now it's $4 or $5 a pound
But there were
when you go to
also
auction, or
there were also when you well, yeah, and when a piglet costs $200 to begin with for a weanling, and a lot of places, that's why I drove 2.5 hours out to Auburn, because I wasn't paying $200 for an auction pig. I wanted a
right.
commercial hog, um, and to not pay that price. But yeah, things have gone up, prices have gone up, and the number of people that are doing these things have gone down. Like, it might seem, what's that? Oh, that's KFC. My chicken's outside the window. Um, her name, I teach English to students in China, and she used to sneak in my house. There was, when my basement door was broken, she used to sneak in the house when I was teaching in the morning and sit with me. And my every day I was kicking her out for like a week before I fixed the door. Every day I was kicking her out. And then my one student named her KFC. So that's KFC. Um, she hears me on my computer. She's like, "You're talking without me." Um, but uh yeah, prices have gone up, and the number of people that are doing it are going down. And it might seem to a lot of us that there are more people that are doing it, especially if you're just getting into it, because now you're meeting up with the community and you're learning from people and you're talking to people and you're having those driveway conversations are my favorite. Like, the end of the driveway, you go to like do a transaction and you learn from them, and that's my favorite thing. But at the end of the day, just because you're experiencing that and you're new in the circle does not by any means mean that there are more people doing homesteading. Because back in the day, a lot of people had pork that they were growing, their own pork, and it's just not,
True
yeah,
story.
it's not as prevalent anymore. Well, that's cool. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just bouncing around already. I don't know, 5 minutes. It's over an hour. I don't know how long we were supposed to be on here. Why no? Things is that, and anybody that's watching this on the, there's been a push from and from the cities, country life again. And we all know, so there's I'm not saying a mad, my buddy who's a real estate agent, and he's selling more and more property, a few acres. Um, so we're getting into this lifestyle, and I'm not a nation. I'm, not win. What's that expression? Fake it till
Yeah.
you make it. And I'm still there. I'm still faking it until I make it, and I'm hoping if we do like an update in a year time frame on this, which I think would be kind of cool with all the other guests that you're going to have, is do like a yearly update, and what kind of goals did they accomplish, and whatnot. Are they still faking it, or have they made it? And we're all there.
Yeah, that would be
All
really
there.
cool. that would be really cool to see, and to be able to like, yeah. I mean, because you're just starting out, you know. Yeah. Well, thank you so much
Yep.
for coming on. Everybody, there's nothing on his YouTube channel yet, but it is linked in the description box. So maybe if you're watching the replay, you can, you know, there might be stuff, but if you want to see more and you want to watch how his journey goes, you can go click on his link in the description box. On Monday, this is free, by the way. So this is going to be free. It's not anything that I'm like charging anybody for this part of it. On Monday, we're starting the homestead payout plan, the homestead payday plan, sorry, the homestead payday plan, where like we talked a little bit about it today, like how you can find different things, like look and see what you've got. But next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we've got a 3-day challenge to help you figure out exactly how to make money on your homestead, whether it be, you know, going and buying quail from Judd's Quail and starting your own quailery. Is that a word? Because I think it should be quailery. Or using your livestock trailer and making connections to do transportation stuff for animals or move outs or something, or selling flowers at your roadside stand. Like there's something there. You have resources on your property, or the ability to add low cost resources to your property. So if you want to tune in and find out what those resources are, you could start the challenge with us on Monday. It's going to be on this channel. So thank you for coming in, and make sure you're subscribed. Thank you for coming on, and I will see you guys on Monday. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Hey,
thanks,
thanks
Matt.
for having me. I'm going to leave with one more quote. We're not born in the wrong generation. Take that how you want, and implement it into your business.